12 foods to maintain and gain muscle after the age of 60. Do you feel muscle weakness and want to build more strength and muscle mass? Do you want to know how food can be your greatest ally in this process? And after all, what are the ideal foods for those looking for more vitality and nutritional accessibility, even on a limited budget? Today we're going to explore the 12 essential foods that can transform your journey towards stronger, healthier muscles. From the most concentrated proteins, such as chicken breast, to vegetable options, such as chickpeas and peanuts, there are alternatives for all dietary profiles and tastes. In addition to nutrition, have you ever wondered how sleep and resistance exercise can enhance your results? Don't miss the final tips for incorporating these foods into your daily life in a practical and accessible way. Each of these steps is fundamental to optimizing muscle building and improving quality of life. Stay with us until the end, because food number 11 is the one that recovers muscles the most, but few people know about it. Let's get started. These foods are so important that they cannot be missing from the table of people who have muscle weakness and want to increase muscle gain and increase strength. So let's make a quick summary of what you need to intake. What is the main nutrient needed to build muscle mass? The main nutrient is protein. As I always say in other videos, those of you who are watching me now, who are just getting to know me on this channel, come in after you finish these videos to learn a little more about the importance of food, protein intake in nutrition, and the process of muscle formation. So protein is a macronutrient. We have to have a minimum goal, that is, a minimum amount of daily protein intake, so that we start not to lose it and start to build muscle mass. What happens with aging is that nutritional needs and intake vary greatly. So what you used to eat and everything was fine today after the age of 60, you need more nutrients, less of some other substances, some other nutrients. So what we need most, and what hits home the most, is to reach the protein goal through protein. And another thing, protein is not synonymous. That is, it is not the same as talking about animal meat, animal protein. We also have protein in some vegetables that I will mention in this list of foods. So this list of foods is for those who are vegetarians, for those who are not vegetarians, for those who are vegans, even for those who do not have enough purchasing power to be able to spend more money. So I'm also going to talk about nutritional accessibility through food. Low-cost foods, foods that you can even, if you live in a rural area, have in your backyard, planting or raising. I'll give you a spoiler. Raising some chickens, for example, we can have eggs, which is a superfood. Is it good? So let's go. I'm going to talk about these 12 foods. So I'm going to start this list of the 12th food with a food that proportionally has more protein, which is breast. So let's go. Chicken breast. It has up to 30% of the composition of a chicken breast. It is a protein of high biological value. That is, easily absorbed with very important amino acids for building muscle. So, if I have 100 grams, a 100-gram portion of chicken breast will offer more or less around 30 grams of protein. So this is a very important food. It would be ideal if at least I had a chicken breast, which would be ideal at least in one meal of the day, right at least, making a menu, of course, varied, taking into account this food at least either at lunch or dinner, in a portion of 100 to 150 grams of chicken breast. Why is it the chest? Why isn't it the thigh? Why isn't it another part of the chicken? Because, proportionally speaking, other parts of the chicken also contain a lot of fat, often saturated fat, which is not a very suitable fat, especially for people who have control over cholesterol, people who are overweight. So chicken breast is lean, has a lot of protein, and has other very important minerals that will help you maintain and build muscle mass. Remembering, quickly speaking, our protein goal, which is the amount of protein we need to have per day, just calculate 1.5 by your weight. So if you weigh 70 kilos, you will put 1.5 into the calculator, times 70, and it will give you 105 grams. You will divide this 105 into 3 to 4 portions, so it will give you more or less 25 to 30 grams of portion of intake in the main meals. We always include a breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snack, protein, and a dinner also with protein to complete this protein goal. So here we go. 12th, chicken breast. The 10th. The first is an option for those who are vegetarians, for those who are vegan. So it's peanuts. Peanuts are very rich in protein. Remember we talked about chicken breast, which had 30 grams per 100 grams? Peanuts have 20 to 23 grams of protein in 100 grams. In other words, in terms of protein, it is very similar to animal protein. Of course, it is very difficult for you to ingest 100 grams at once. We usually eat peanuts in small quantities, right? 100 grams gives an unreasonable portion, which people are not in the habit of consuming. And also remember, peanuts also have a lot of fat and are very caloric. Peanuts are an excellent source of protein and calories, ideal for elderly people who are underweight or weak. In 100 g, it provides around 400 to 500 calories and can be consumed in different ways, such as toasted or in homemade sugar-free pasoka. A popular combination is peanuts and banana, which offers energy and protein. Adding crushed peanuts to salads or meals is a good option to increase calorie and protein intake. However, consumption should be moderated on calorie-restricted diets. Another essential food is eggs, which are affordable and nutritious, especially for those who have chickens at home. Furthermore, if you don't have this availability, you can buy it in various places in Brazil. All over the country, we can find the egg, and it's a low cost. Besides, it's very easy to do. You need to put boiled water on fire to cook it, or a pan to fry it, remembering that when we fry the egg, it is always good to use as little fat as possible. It can be olive oil, butter, even a small amount of vegetable oil. If you have a non-stick pan, even better, because you will practically not need it. You dab some fat on there, just to make sure it doesn't stick, and you can make your egg, your omelette, or add eggs to other foods to add some protein. So the egg, in addition to having a lot of protein, each egg has around 6 grams of protein. So if you make an omelette, for example, with 5 eggs, it will be the equivalent of that portion of chicken breast. What I said initially, as a food that offers the most protein. So you can eat this 5-egg omelette in peace. We have already demystified the question of why the egg was previously seen as a villain. What it offered, there was that danger, that risk of increasing cholesterol. Nowadays, it is known that dietary cholesterol, the cholesterol we ingest, has no direct relationship in most people with nutritional cholesterol from our blood, from our body. So what cholesterol we ingest will be metabolized, and it won't necessarily turn into cholesterol in our blood, so the egg is absolved. He is now a good guy. He no longer plays the role of villain in the history of nutrition, and it should be incorporated daily into your diet. As it is an easy, quick-to-prepare and low-cost option, I always recommend it for breakfast. So you do it there. A larger omelette with 5 eggs, an omelette with 3 eggs, or even 2-3 scrambled eggs for breakfast, and you can make or repeat even this menu, because it is very practical and easy and quick to do. An evening supper, an afternoon snack. We can also repeat. But the important thing is that there is no lack of this nutrient. The 9th food I couldn't help but mention on this list is beef. Animal protein of bovine origin from cattle, cow, beef. So whenever we talk about beef protein, we have several cuts of beef. Some cuts are fattier and offer a lower percentage of protein, and other cuts have less fat between the fibers, and it offers a greater intake of protein and less fat. So, for example, although we are both beef, a rib, a termite, has much less protein proportionally than a duckling, a filet mignon, a filet without the fat layer. So, a lean beef, let's mention a duck here, is around 25 to 28%. In other words, 100 grams of duckling has approximately 25 to 28 grams of protein. So, a 100-150 gram steak. If you can eat every day, or at least 3 times a week, twice a week, changing with other proteins, animal proteins, you will certainly be able to reach your protein goal. No need for protein supplements. Remembering that protein supplementation is only for those who have difficulty, for those who cannot reach their protein goal, which is the goal that I already taught you how to calculate in this video and in other previous videos. The 8th protein-rich food is also quite democratic. If a very affordable price is sardines, we have it in Brazil, an immense coastline. Sardines are a relatively cheap fish. It is a relatively available fish, especially those who live in coastal regions. Those who live in the countryside also have the option of frozen sardines. Sardines are an excellent food, offering around 25 g of protein per 100 g, in addition to being a rich source of omega-3 essential for health and which we do not produce naturally. In 100 g of sardines, we obtain 1.5 to 2 g of omega-3, the recommended dose for supplementation. In addition, sardines contain vitamin D, calcium and B-complex vitamins. The canned version is a good alternative when fresh is not available, but it is important to moderate consumption due to the sodium content, especially for hypertensive people, as packaging current minimizes the use of preservatives. For those who have to follow a sodium-restricted diet, this could be a problem. The seventh nutrient is cottage cheese. It may not be available in some regions of Brazil, but it's cheese. It's like a very fresh cheese. It is a cheese very similar to ricotta, but it has more proteins and fewer calories. So when we think about building muscle in protein intake, the cottage cheese, I think in the market, generally on the shelf, one of the freshest cheeses. You will find it in large markets. This cheese was forgotten for a long time, and now he's loved for discovering yourself. How much protein does it have? The low number of calories. How much calcium is essential, especially for those who have osteoporosis, for those who need this mineral. Remembering that for those who have intolerance, we have options, even lactose-free. There is cottage cheese, zero lactose in some regions of Brazil, then the cottage cheese. It is an excellent source of protein when we mainly think about breakfast or as an afternoon snack in which you can't get a protein that requires more work to prepare. Every 100 grams of cottage cheese, it gives about 10 grams of protein, so an amount that you can spread on a loaf of bread. Pass on one. Don't put it together with egg, for example. You will add 5 to 10 grams of protein in your meal. Another favorite food that you can't miss in your breakfast, it's yogurt. Today we have the option of Greek yogurt, which has some even more important lactobacilli, which even has a greater benefit. But the importance of yogurt, in addition to the protein issue, from protein intake, which reaches 4 to 5 grams of protein in a portion of 100 grams of yogurt. Besides the question, as I said previously, quoting cottage cheese, the question of the presence of calcium, the presence of other very important minerals. We also have lactobacilli. Nowadays, we are increasingly appreciating it. The issue of dysbiosis, our question, the importance of our microbiota, which is from our bacteria, good things that inhabit our intestines. So these good bacteria, they have a fundamental presence in the absorption of nutrients, in the absorption of amino acids, in digestive time. The digestion process takes place over time, so more and more. That patient who has gastrointestinal symptoms, it may be related to dysbiosis, in which the yogurt, through lactobacilli, through bacteria, the good bacteria will balance our intestinal flora, also improving the absorption of nutrients and amino acids for building and maintaining our muscular strength. The fifth food has also been the subject of much controversy, which is the milk, to break this controversy once and for all in September 2023. In September 2023, the Brazilian Society of Nutritionists, the Brazilian Association of Nutritionists, launched a recommendation based on several studies that prove that milk is not inflammatory. I know that this involves a lot of passion, even from strong defenses that milk inflames because milk is bad, because some doctors say it is bad, some doctors say it was. Science proves that people with lactose intolerance should avoid milk as they cannot digest its sugar, causing discomfort, flatulence, pain, and diarrhea. These patients can opt for lactose-free products. Another condition is allergy to milk protein, specifically casein, which can cause respiratory and skin symptoms, especially in children, although this allergy decreases with age. For most, milk is not problematic. Many elderly people who consumed milk for years stopped due to mistaken restrictive guidelines, despite not having an intolerance or allergy. This consumption is safe for those who do not have these conditions. He started to lose weight and started to really miss it. A decrease in calcium, a decrease in protein. It doesn't mean that there aren't other sources of calcium. There are, but there are other sources of protein. So if you stop drinking milk by choice, there's no problem, right? Now, if you stop drinking milk because you heard or read somewhere that it causes inflammation and is harmful, Even if you don't have any symptoms, I don't recommend that you do. Drink milk. Stop. I think you should continue like this because it is more than proven that it does not cause inflammation. On the contrary, some studies show that it even has an anti-inflammatory effect. This topic is quite controversial. I have already posted it a few times, right? And many people actually have a defense. I have a strong defense for what the work says, right? If society, a scientific society, demonstrates through large studies with large numbers a work with more robust evidence, I will be the first. Making a new video telling you to stop drinking milk, but what we know today is that milk is an excellent food for those who have no tolerance, for those who have no restrictions. Each 200 ml glass provides 6 grams of protein, which is basically an egg, right? When we think about formulations with cheese, for example, in which it is more concentrated, this level of protein increases more. So for those who do not have restrictions, I strongly recommend it. Doctor, but I read somewhere that humans are the only animals that have restriction. Animal that drinks milk from another species after adulthood, yes, but we also use it. We are the only species that uses a computer. We are the only species that drives and uses smartphones. We are the only species that eats cooked meat. In other words, evolution has allowed us to take advantage of the environment to our advantage. So this argument that many people use is actually a weak argument, even in front of scientific work. But this is a topic for a future video, but it is food. I recommend the fourth food is chickpeas. Chickpeas are an excellent source of protein, especially for people who are vegetarians, who are vegans, who do not want to use animal protein. So every 100 grams of cooked chickpeas offers 9 to 10 grams of protein. So if you eat chickpeas in your main meals, you will get a very important amount of protein. Besides, of course, it is a food very rich in fiber. It is a food that has a lot of magnesium. It has a lot of zinc. It has vitamins from the B complex, essential vitamins also for muscle formation, and it is very rich in iron, which also has a direct action on our muscular metabolism when we associate it with vitamin C. So for example, a recipe that I really like, which is blunt, is an Arabic dish made with chickpea paste in which we add lemon, for example. It will absorb this iron much more easily, making it an excellent nutrient for those looking to gain muscle mass. I'm going to talk about the third food now, which is quinoa. Quinoa may not be available in some regions of Brazil, but it is also a very important food because it is very rich in phosphorus, very rich in magnesium. It has a lot of fiber and nutritionally speaking in terms of building muscle mass. It offers up to 5 grams of protein for every 100 grams of it cooked, so it can very well replace rice in a meal. Quinoa is also rich in carbohydrates. They are carbohydrates with a lower glycemic index. So for those with diabetes, it is a good carbohydrate to ingest with meals. So it is extremely important if you have the opportunity to also incorporate quinoa into your main meals. I'm almost done with this list. I'm now going to talk about the most popular food that is certainly present in most Brazilian dishes, especially at lunch, which is beans. Beans are extremely rich in protein when we think, of course, about legumes containing protein of animal origin. So the beans we consume daily will offer more or less 5 grams of protein every 100 grams. So this protein, in addition to containing several essential amino acids, will have fiber, will have vitamin B complex, will also have a good carbohydrate with a good low glycemic index. So the beans you include, I'm sure you already consume it. But if you continue consuming it, and those who do not have the opportunity to consume it, start consuming it mainly at lunch, it is extremely important. Some countries have the cultural habit of eating beans even for breakfast. But in Brazil, we have more of a habit of eating it at lunch together with rice. As I said, we can mix it together with quinoa to also offer a lot of protein to have a nutritionally richer meal. And the first food among vegetables is my favorite, and I even have a lot of emotional memory from a cartoon that I really liked, which was Popeye. So this food is spinach, right? Spinach. Since the cartoon, it was actually said that it made a difference in the character's life in relation to muscular strength. And it really makes clear sense that proportionally, right, comparing with other sources of protein, it is not so great, but for a leaf, for a leafy vegetable, for a vegetable, it offers a level of protein that is very high and which is very important for our health. a very significant protein which is around 3 grams. How we usually make spinach, for example, cooked, incorporate it into pasta, incorporate it into rice, or even as a main vegetable within the meal. In addition to the issue of protein that I mentioned previously, it is an excellent source of calcium. It is an excellent source of iron. So the spinach, remembering even this character that was part of my childhood, must have knowledge that many of you are watching, is this first food that is nutritionally very rich. There are, of course, other foods as well, but I chose these 12 foods for their nutritional content, mainly protein content. Protein is that little brick that I said is essential for building of our muscle. We need these bricks to maintain muscle mass, in addition to, of course, other activities of our muscle, such as the immune system. Our antibodies are also made of protein, and protein is one of the nutrients that we cannot store properly in another form other than in the muscle, such as carbohydrates, which are another nutrient. We store fats in the form of glycogen. We can store them in the form of adipose tissue and triglycerides. To create and maintain this muscle, then also remembering that to gain muscle mass, in addition to nutrition, exercises are extremely important, especially resistance exercises, which are bodybuilding type exercises. Adequate sleep has also been shown in studies to be increasingly important in education. So for those of you who have watched this far, write here in the comments, "Limitless Overcoming," so that I know that you are here following me, looking for quality information so that you can really change this course of life, this symptom that you are feeling, muscle weakness. Of course, you should also look for professional help, right? This video does not replace a consultation, for example. So you can do this. It is also a help for the person's life. You should look for your geriatrician, look for your clinician, look for a health professional in your area, so that the most appropriate diagnosis and an appropriate therapeutic plan can be made for your problem. So if you like this video, share it in family groups, church groups, groups of friends. If you are not already subscribed, activate the bell to receive notifications. I'm posting videos here weekly for you, videos for those of you looking for quality information. I hope you enjoyed this content. Stay with God and see you in the next video.